Welcome back, guys. It's good to be back again. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, and share. And thank you for all those that have been engaging me on the comments, and I really appreciate. So today I'll be looking at, the Ethiopian market is opening, and why Kenyan businesses are taking advantage of the liberalization of the Ethiopian market. The Ethiopian market has decided to become a bit liberal and open up to the world. For so long, the Ethiopian market had been secluded or isolated, I'd say that, because the government at the time didn't want any foreign direct investments. It was their policy to keep all businesses in Ethiopia and under government control. And this in turn, I think, has also become detrimental to the Ethiopian economy because as years have passed, they've realized that their capabilities and their population in terms of skill and labor has continued to deteriorate because at the end of the day, we live in a global market, and if you seclude yourself, especially as a country, high chances are that the world will move on and leave you behind. And so since Ethiopia is more of it operates more like a communist country where the government controls almost everything in terms of companies, in terms of reforms. The system in Ethiopia is very different, even in terms of land ownership. The governments own the land, so land is only leased to the citizen. So when you look at this, you realize that it had become a very closed system. And the new Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, has come up with a scheme, and I'd call it a vision, to liberalize the Ethiopian market, to open for foreign investors to come and invest. And there has been processes, acts of parliament to allow, because all these were in laws to ensure that it was very hard, or any investments from outside was heavily controlled. But now with the liberalization of the Ethiopian market, I don't think it's going to become like a drastic liberalization of the market. I feel that it's going to be a progressive in terms of, for a country that has been so isolated, it can't just open up. It's just going to be progressive. But at the end, they are going to achieve full liberal market. And Abiy Ahmed has come up with a strategy, and the first investors to pounce on this opening are, the Kenyan corporates and the Kenyan businessmen. And I find it very amusing that Kenya businesses are on the frontier of ensuring that become a big player in the Ethiopian market. Safaricom has opened in Ethiopia, and even when they were opening, before they opened, they had to pay money for the license. They have paid close to almost $1 billion, and that's the largest foreign direct investment that has ever been paid to Ethiopia. And this is not a company from Europe or America. This is from Kenya. So Safaricom has paid the largest foreign direct investment in Ethiopia. If you look at banks like KCB, Equity, they have been operating, I'd say, like reconnaissance departments there, to see the banking sector in Ethiopia. But now with this kind of liberalization, it means that, sorry if I say the liberalization word, I might be pronouncing it not correctly, but I hope you understand what I mean. My pronunciation might not be perfect, but I can write it down very perfectly. So with the opening of the market, KCB, Equity, and CBA had sent reconnaissance shops to see how the market is doing, how the banking sector there is. Remember, Ethiopia is a country of 120 million population. So this is a very huge market, not only for Safaricom, but also for the Kenyan banking sector. And if you see at how Kenya is dominating East Africa, these are some of the things that makes me happy to be a Kenyan, because you can see that when you go to DRC, the other day DRC joined East Africa, Kenyan banks were there, Kenyan investor. You go to Uganda, you go to Rwanda, to Tanzania, now even Ethiopia. The first African people to take advantage of the Ethiopian markets are the Kenyans, and they entered the market in a very big way, and this shows that probably in the future Kenya is going to be a very dominant force in East Africa. I predict that in the years to come, to do this through integration, because now Ethiopia is showing signs of integrating with the rest of Africa, because it has been very secluded. I feel that the next member of the East African community will be Ethiopia. Probably it won't happen direct, because things like this take gradual time. But I feel like with this liberalization action, this is a path towards Ethiopia becoming a member of the East African community. And this would be a very big advantage to the East African community, because now goods would be able to go to Ethiopia on exemption. Tariffs are lower. And if you look at also the construction of the port of Lamu, with the highway all the way to Moyale, to Addis Ababa, so that to ease transportation of cargo, and also the plan on the foreseeable future to construct a railway system from Lamu all the way to southern Sudan and Ethiopia to deliver cargo. This shows that there is a process of integration in the Eastern Africa, and Kenya is at the core of this integration. And going forward, we expect also that Kenya and Ethiopian relationship to continue solidifying, continue to be, I'd say, sweet, because now you see the former President Uhuru Kenyatta had visited Ethiopia several times. President Ruto, Dr. Ruto has visited also Ethiopia. So we can see that Kenya and Ethiopia ties are becoming stronger and stronger. And there's this really feeling that we are brothers and sisters, and we should work together towards a common understanding. And we also face the same threats in terms of climate change, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of hunger. So there's this work together to help each other. And I find it interesting that still Kenya is leading this exodus of company, not exodus, this migration of companies into Ethiopia. And this, especially with M-Pesa in Ethiopia, it means that now even, if I want to buy a product in Ethiopia, I can just send money through M-Pesa and I can get that product. Or somebody from Ethiopia wants to buy something in Kenya, then the M-Pesa can just send money through Kenya, and this will enable transaction. Remember, before there was no such system like this. Ethiopia tried, I think, their first M-Pesa payment through their government telecommunication company. If I'm not wrong, either 2 years ago or last year. To them, this mobile money transfer thing is a very new phenomenon. Remember, Kenya has almost over 10, 12 years experience in this. So it shows you where Ethiopia has been in terms of being a global player. The isolation really hasn't helped, but with the opening up, I feel that, Ethiopia is a country with a rich culture, respectable people. So I feel that, they'll also play a big role in sharing their knowledge, their expertise to Kenya, and this interaction will grow. On the other side, it's important to remember that Ethiopia is also it has completed the largest dam in Africa and one of the largest dams in the world. And, their dam is big, and they are now even starting to supply electricity to Sudan, to southern Sudan. There are plans also to supply electricity to Kenya, at 7 bob per kilowatt. And this just shows you that Ethiopia is not only opening up to the world, but it has realized for it to open up, it cannot only supply electricity. It's a soul for a soul. So for it also to supply electricity to this country, it has to allow these other countries to invest in their country. And that's what I think they've realized, and that's why they've, Ethiopia is also now, there's this exchange of, like Kenyan companies going to open up in Ethiopia supplying electricity to Kenya. And funny enough, even though Kenya has its own geothermal, which is enough to supply electricity to the whole of Kenya, I feel the introduction of Ethiopia to supply electricity to Kenya is more of a political reason, a foreign policy kind of reason, looking at the future, prioritizing integration and the growth of friendship. Because, Kenya can supply its own electricity through geothermal, and shout out Ethiopia, but how will that, that will not grow the friendship of Ethiopia and Kenya. So I think the government of Kenya has decided to prioritize friendship and growth of relationship, even though they can do it by themselves. Also, Ethiopia last year, they farmed wheat. Ethiopia is planning to be one of the largest wheat exporters in the world. 1.5 million acres of wheat has been planted. And Kenya will this year, if not already, start importing wheat from Ethiopia. And this is a very, very big milestone because most of the wheat that we get is from Ukraine, is from Ukraine and East Asian countries. But the fact that Ethiopia is just up there getting wheat from Ethiopia means that we have a reliable partner we can work with. And it shows you that also probably Ethiopia has realized its own challenges in terms of food security, and it's addressing them. And this, I think, also Kenya should learn and try to borrow a leaf from Ethiopia, because if Ethiopia in 1 year, 2 years has become one of the largest exporters of wheat, then we should also try and see how we can also improve agriculture and solidify our agricultural sector. Anyway, I just foresee that the East African integration to keep growing. And it's very interesting that all countries want to join East Africa. You see Congo on the other side. It's not in East Africa, but it wants to join East Africa. I feel that East Africa is the most stable bloc. And I'll do a video of why every country wants to join East Africa. Anyway, guys, that was just an update of the current issue, Ethiopian-Kenya relationship. And I just hope it continues to grow. Ethiopia is a good country, Kenya is a great country, and we are better together. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys. Cheers.